At night, the bedroom changes its weight. What was practical by day becomes emotional by darkness. The walls stop reflecting light and begin holding memory. The bed no longer promises rest, it waits. Drawers close their mouths, mirrors lose their kindness, and silence thickens. Nothing moves, yet everything feels alert. This room has seen versions of a person no one else has met. And when the lights go out, it remembers them all. A familiar space grows perceptive in the dark. What felt neutral begins to feel aware. By daylight, the bedroom pretends to be simple. A place for sleep, a place for waking. It carries the disguise of usefulness. But at night, that disguise falls away. The room does not change shape, only attention does. Shadows stretch into corners where thoughts are usually stored. The ceiling becomes a quiet witness. The floor listens. At night, the bedroom becomes a container, not for furniture, but for presence. The bed holds the exact outline of the body that lies on it, as if memorizing weight. The air holds the rhythm of breathing, pauses between breaths, sighs that are never finished. Even when the body turns away from the wall remains aware. This is the space where masks are removed without ceremony. No audience, no performance. The room absorbs faces that collapse after being held together all day. It absorbs words that were swallowed. It absorbs the tension that was postponed until safety could be found. The bedroom does not judge. It simply registers. It remembers how many nights were restless, how many ended with staring instead of sleeping, how many involved reaching for a phone, not for information, but for distance, from thought, from memory, from the self. At night, objects inside the room appear heavier. A chair becomes a place where clothes gather like shed skins. A lamp becomes the last line between awareness and avoidance. The door becomes a thin promise of separation from the world that demanded too much. The room becomes emotionally present because it has always been present. It has learned the patterns. It knows when someone is pretending to sleep. It knows when someone hopes sleep will erase something it never does. The bedroom at night does not speak. It watches, and in that watching, it quietly holds everything that cannot go anywhere else. Repetition turns space into memory. Habits quietly charge the room with meaning. No bedroom begins heavy. It becomes that way through return, through repetition, through nights stacked carefully on top of each other until they blur into a single emotional atmosphere. Every evening adds a layer. Every morning leaves a trace behind. This is where the body first learned exhaustion. Not the physical kind, but the emotional fatigue that lingers after the lights are off. This is where grief was allowed to surface because no one could see it. Where disappointment was replayed without interruption. Where joy briefly visited, then left without explanation. The room learned these things slowly, one night at a time. A breakup that ended on the edge of the bed. A message reread until the screen dimmed. A ceiling stared at while the heart tried to make sense of something irreversible. The room absorbed the pauses between thoughts, the moments where nothing happened except feeling. Habit trained the space, sleeping on the same side, placing the phone in the same spot, turning off the same lamp. These rituals seem meaningless, yet they teach the room exactly how a person exists when unobserved. Over time, the bedroom becomes an archive of patterns. Memory does not require intention. It only requires repetition. The room remembers how often someone woke at the same hour, how often sleep arrived late, how often dreams were interrupted. It remembers the nights when the body was present but the mind was elsewhere. Even absence leaves a mark, a space on a mattress that no longer fills, a drawer that remains half empty, silence that replaced conversation. The room adjusted without question. It learned loss the same way it learned presence. By the time the room feels heavy, it is not because something happened recently. It is because so much happened quietly, and none of it was allowed to leave. Safety creates memory. The mind assigns meaning where vulnerability is allowed. The human mind attaches emotion to places where defenses fall away. The bedroom becomes significant not because of its objects, but because of permission. Here, the body is allowed to stop performing. The nervous system loosens its grip, and whatever has been waiting all day finally rises. Psychologically, memory bonds to safety. Not comfort, safety. A space where nothing is demanded allows emotion to surface without interruption. The bedroom provides that containment. No social role, no expectation, just existence. At night, cognitive filters weaken. Distractions fade. The mind stops managing impressions and starts processing. Thoughts that were postponed return with clarity. Feelings that were muted find volume. The brain, no longer occupied with survival tasks, begins sorting unresolved material. This is why the bedroom feels louder at night. Not because it produces sound, but because it removes noise. Silence activates memory. Darkness reduces external input. The mind fills the gap. Objects inside the room become anchors. The bed becomes associated with vulnerability. The phone becomes associated with escape. The window becomes associated with longing, looking out, imagining elsewhere. These associations are not chosen. They form naturally through emotional pairing. The room becomes a psychological mirror. It reflects inner states back through atmosphere. Restlessness feels amplified. Loneliness feels closer. Relief, when it comes, feels fragile. Importantly, this attachment is not weakness. It is function. The mind uses space to organize experience. The bedroom becomes a filing system for what could not be processed in real time. Over years, the room develops an emotional climate. Entering it at night triggers a response before any thought occurs. The body remembers before the mind explains. This is not imagination. It is conditioned awareness. The room holds what the mind learned to store there. Distraction fills the dark. Awareness feels too close. Many avoid noticing what the bedroom represents. Not consciously, but instinctively. Lights stay on longer than needed. Screens remain active until sleep overrides awareness. Music plays softly, not for enjoyment, but for buffering silence. This avoidance is protective. To notice the room fully would mean noticing what lives there emotionally. The stored grief, the unresolved conversations, the loneliness that becomes clearer when no one else is present. The mind resists this recognition because it threatens containment. If acknowledged, these emotions might overflow. So distraction becomes a shield, a way to remain near the edge without falling in. People often blame insomnia on stress or routine, rarely on emotional memory. Yet the body knows when it is being asked to rest in a space that also holds unresolved feeling. Sleep requires surrender, and surrender feels dangerous when awareness sharpens pain. Even rearranging a room can be an unconscious attempt to escape its emotional imprint. Moving furniture, changing lighting, buying new bedding. These actions promise renewal, but the atmosphere remains familiar. Because memory is not in objects, it is an association. Avoidance does not erase meaning. It postpones contact. The room waits without urgency. It has learned patience. Night after night, it remains present, holding what is avoided without pressing for attention. This resistance is not failure. It is pacing. The psyche approaches difficult awareness slowly, in fragments. A sigh, a moment of stillness, a night where the phone is set down earlier than usual. The bedroom does not demand confrontation. It simply reflects what is already there and waits for recognition to arrive naturally. Nothing changes outwardly. Awareness enters softly. One night, something subtle happens. The room feels the same, yet perception shifts. The darkness no longer feels threatening, only honest. The silence no longer feels empty, only full. There is no breakthrough, no sudden clarity, just a moment of noticing without escape. The body lies still, and instead of resisting thought, allows it to pass through. Feelings rise, then settle. Not resolved, not fixed, simply acknowledged. This is the turning point the room has been holding space for. Not healing, but contact. Recognition without urgency. Awareness without demand. The bed continues to support weight. The walls continue to hold shadow. But something inside the person changes posture. The need to distract loosens. The need to flee quiet diminishes slightly. This awareness does not feel good. It feels real. And reality, when met gently, carries less threat than expected. The room responds not by changing, but by softening. Or perhaps perception softens. The atmosphere feels less dense. The same memories exist, but they no longer press so closely. This moment does not repeat every night. It arrives when readiness aligns with safety, when the mind trusts the body to stay present without collapse. The bedroom has not cured anything. It has done something quieter. It has allowed truth to be felt without urgency, and that is often enough to begin coexistence. Nothing is erased. The space becomes shared, not feared. Integration does not mean the bedroom becomes light. It means it becomes known. The darkness remains, but it no longer feels hostile. The room is understood as a container, not a threat. Sleep does not suddenly improve. Memories do not vanish, but the relationship changes. The room is no longer something to endure. It is something to inhabit. The bed holds the body without expectation. The walls continue listening, but without intensity. The room has been seen for what it is, a witness that never interfered, never abandoned, never demanded. Over time, new nights layered gently over old ones. Rest joins restlessness. Calm joins ache. The emotional archive expands, not with resolution, but with balance. The bedroom remains a place where truth appears. But now, truth is allowed to arrive slowly, without panic, without escape. The room continues to exist at night, exactly as before, but now it is understood. And understanding changes how darkness is experienced. Nothing speaks, nothing moves, yet something feels quieter. The bedroom remains, holding memory, holding presence, holding whatever comes next.